One of the nicest and best known of the Debussy preludes. This is La Cathedrale engloutie, or the sunken cathedral. Among the many piano pieces that Debussy wrote, he wrote 24 preludes, pretty short pieces, in two sets of 12, book one and book two. And this is number 10 from book one. As I had mentioned, I think before, Claude Debussy, 1862-1918, and Maurice Ravel, 1875 to 1937, are considered to be the foremost composers of the Impressionist era in classical music, which flourished from the mid or late 1890s into the second decade of the 20th century, with the first decade being the real peak. And what these composers tried to do, in a parallel way to what the Impressionist painters had done a couple of decades earlier, was to create sensuous, shimmery, blurry effects with harmonies. And so a lot of this music is very descriptive. I like to use the word iridescent to describe what the harmonic colors do. It's a lot of what we call tone painting, a lot of subtleties in it. Debussy's music tends to be more fragmentary than Ravel, and that's certainly true in this particular prelude. I mentioned, I think, before that the music of Debussy and Ravel were my original favorites, even before I went to Juilliard. And because of that, I eventually learned and played in concert everything for piano that both wrote, and Debussy wrote a lot more in quantity. Now, the story behind this particular prelude, the sunken cathedral, or La Cathedrale engloutie, is an old Breton legend about a cathedral that's in the water, and when the water is clear and transparent, gloriously rises above the water with priests chanting and bells ringing and organ playing and all that, and then eventually sinks back down to the sea. Now, if you remember my talk on when I played in Brunei, in the Sultanate of Brunei, and I mentioned a censorship session I had to go through, which every performance has to go through, for a committee of local Muslims. And they look at your program and they may say something about it, and look at the titles. And I mentioned in that talk that actually when I had played this piece in one of my programs, and somebody from the committee actually did come up to me and ask, what does this word cathedral mean? And I have to explain a little bit about this legend, as I just like. Well, this is that piece. So I hope you enjoy it. La Cathedrale engloutie, the sunken cathedral, one of the preludes of Debussy.